bitches!
We did it?
Hey, Marker. Just lifting this movie like
The most unlikely of seasons, season 6.
Yeah, season 6. It's unbelievable.
Scene 15.
Rolling.
Cool cut.
Yeah, look at him.
We'd hung on for dear life for 5 seasons on NBC, and then they, of course, canceled us, and it was devastating.
I think in our brains we sort of moved on. You know, that's probably the closest you came to sort of thinking about closure.
Months went by, and I heard rumors about other places, and those things fell apart, and then at the very last second, on the final day of our contracts, we found out that we were going to Yahoo.
I made it! Yahoo bought the show as it was and said, make more of that, and only wanted to talk about marketing and promotion. They didn't have anything they wanted to fix about the show.
You guys do know that we're a bunch of like kids at a community college playing paintball, right? That's what we do.
I'm smart, and you better believe.
I worked so much harder on season 6 for no real practical reason. Like, all I did was slow everything down with my fear that I was gonna do it wrong. And I didn't have anybody saying, you've got to get your shit together, hurry up. Like, I just had Yahoo going like, hey, well, I guess this is your process. But my process was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fail. We have to make this script perfect. Okay, now the script's late. Now you're just handing it to people an hour before they shoot it, which I think, you know, that compromised everybody on set.
You're kind of finding out what's going on as the characters are. There were a lot of teleprompters. There was a lot of being handed a scene immediately before you start shooting it and learning the lines as you're shooting it.
What pages do we have?
Oh yeah, 12. Yeah, 12.
Okay,
Scene 12 is...
Oh, scene coming in.
Scene 12 is very similar to what it is. There's just the first 4 lines, the first 3 lines of dialogue are different.
Yeah, wait. Now we got the new ones. Everybody take off.
The double blues, yeah.
Double blues on your phone, please.
new.
All right, here we go. Here. Everybody got lines on their cell phones?
Yep.
And
Mine
action.
says loading.
Oh, here.
Loading.
Here.
I didn't even get a loading yet.
All right.
Okay, here we go. I got it.
Anytime we walked in to a set that had just been written, and it would be an immaculate, incredible set that people put together in a 24-hour period overnight, that's pretty extraordinary.
That's Denise Pizzini and her whole team. Every single department head was not only the best at what they did, but they had been baptized by this show, you know. It was just like, has been run through the ringer. So they were already great at what they did, but also they became great at doing what they did in a nightmare scenario.
This is made from
This is a hula
hoop and a shower curtain that
And-
we just put we backed with, we put some contact paper, shelf paper, and then with the letters on here and just brought it up.
And what
to make it look
episode
like
is
a
this
condom.
from?
Yes, what episode? Season
Season
1.
1.
STD Fair.
This show's crazy. It's its own crazy. And you gotta just give into it.
Showtime.
It's hard to complain about when you're like, oh my gosh, I had to work so many hours yesterday. But I was dressed up as Jamie Lee Curtis. How could that be bad?
I just remember those moments where you're there late in the morning and, you know, you can barely keep your eyes open, but it's really about the people you're with.
We would all hit a brink of exhaustion or frustration or delirium, and somebody would just make you laugh so hard that you just felt like you could keep going and going.
A typical week is us making each other laugh, sitting around the table until somebody yells at us to be quiet or leave the room.
Actors!
Bye. See you later.
Do it!
But I'm very proud of the end result on screen because it successfully moved a very kind of manicured 22-minute network sitcom that was very much sort of representative of the old world, and just we got to watch it walk through a curtain into the new world and see what, you know, these mutations happen.
Abusively cynical one-liner dismissing everything you just said.
Absurd reaction.
It made it feel like there was a reason for there to be a season 6. It wasn't just like, oh, let's rescue this show and put it on the internet. It was like the show changed and it grew gills and it had little flippers and it was interesting.
Can we put a pin in the B story and focus on the A story?
I don't trust these stories. Never have, never will. I had a setup about a story that was so placeholder, the punchline came 5 words early.
Because our episodes on the whole are so unique, every single episode that Dan and our amazing writers and directors and crew and everybody put together, they craft these beautiful little films every week. And so because of that, every episode I feel like we're starting over. We're starting something new.
Into montage, and it seems to come Saturday morning. All right, okay. All right, so I was thinking like,
Let's not go around
Joel,
this
you'll just be like standing kind of like right where you sit, and then Alex will be like, you'll come in a little bit into the door, and then let's have like the game kind of, half circle around them. It'll be Joel on one side, the gang on the other. See how that works. That'll be easy to shoot.
Jeff is going through in season 6 what I am going through while writing season 6, which is, well, I know one thing for sure. If there's a Greendale to be at, I'll always have to be at it. But the other thing I know is that superstars like Allison Brie and Gillian Jacobs and Danny Pudi you cannot keep them here. So what does that really mean? And how do you prepare for letting go?
Are you coming back, Elroy?
I think so. Probably. Maybe. Have a great summer.
People come and go, and I think that's true to the premise of the show, which is a college where people graduate and new students come in. And so I like that we have an open door policy.
Okay, I'll just have a seat and...
No! Our friend used to sit there.
She spun off.
I'm sorry. What about here?
Yeah, I guess that's okay.
I got a call saying Dan Harmon wants to know if you want to join Community for season 6. And I said, yeah, I do. I would love to. I mean, because they're at the top of their game, comedically. You guys know what I think everybody should do? As a humble outsider that came in and nailed it?
At the beginning of season 6, we decided every episode should be episode 7,000 of a show that's going to last forever.
Were you guys doing an unauthorized finale in here? Not cool.
I think the unspoken agreement there was that the finale was just going to be a nice episode. I think we were in denial there.
6 years, guys.
Nipple dippers!
Nipple dippers!
We've all seen the shows that have actually, like, stuck the landing and kind of ended the show. St. Elsewhere destroyed the hospital and revealed it was all in a snow globe. Newhart woke up from a dream in his old previous Newhart show.
I remember desperately wanting to watch the series finale of Full House, which my mother would not let me watch, which I was very upset by.
I really loved, actually, the Office finale.
Monica had babies.
I loved how Mad Men ended.
Anna Faris came in.
Cheers was very simple, just Sam back at the bar by himself closing.
I only watch comedy finales that I'm in. I liked the Sopranos finale, even though I thought my cable went out like everyone else.
The Mary Tyler Moore one, where they're in the newsroom, they were in a hug, and then they all moved as a group to get the tissue box. And I would like to say that I saw these in reruns, so don't go like, oh, he's old.
Jim is youthful. You saw his body. Wait till you see his body in the finale. He's in a diaper. That boy looked good. I would not look that good in a diaper.
Oh, it's getting crazy in here.
Jim Rash was in the series finale of Friends. That's my favorite series finale.
I was in that Friends finale.
Seinfeld characters were sentenced to prison for being Seinfeld characters and are now gonna rot in a jail cell to making observations about buttonholes. I didn't think that this was the kind of show that should have that kind of ending.
It's a tough thing to create a finale where, like anything, you don't know what's next year, you don't know if there's a 7th, you don't know if the movie, you don't know what it is.
Community has always, at the end of every season, been maybe probably kind of, it's always been on the bubble every single episode. I think that is probably the healthiest thing because that's what TV writers should be always aware of. I think they shouldn't get comfortable. They should feel like they're lucky to go to work every day, and they should write every episode as if it might be the last one they write. And you are just making pizza for people. It's not supposed to be nutritious. It's not chicken soup for the soul. It's pizza. It's comforting and it's doughy and it's not the only thing you should be eating. But at the same time, it's like don't make shitty pizza.
Coffee back to one. Coffee back to one.
Coffee, back one.
In the journey of our show, this is another thing about coming up to the finale. I don't think any of us had any expectations because, like our show, we never really have any expectations. It's better to kind of just leave them be and see how we're surprised.
If you're cool, we'll flip around. Good job. Great. All right, great. Let's flip. We're gonna flip around.
I think we were all just curious what was going to come down from the writer's room as the possibly final episode.
Hey, Joel,
Danny,
take a big step to your right. And Danny?
Danny, go to his right, too.
Hey, Danny, go to your right as well.
When we got to it, we were behind schedule and over budget and didn't know what to do. So we knew that it had to be cheap and it had to be, which meant it had to be conversational. After 6 years of a show talking about itself with its fans, like, shouldn't the thing that we do is just like end it with a conversation about itself? The conversation to end all conversations, which also happened to be very affordable.
More importantly, it has to be joyful, effortless, fun.
It was somewhat dealing with a future, but that the future, which I thought was creative, was really their pitches for what the future might hold.
6 years. 6 seasons, right, Abed?
Don't put a nickel in him.
And it tells you a lot about the characters and their point of view about what that would be. And then just the reminder that there's no way to know. All we know is that this may or may not be goodbye.
I don't know how likely season 7 is. I mean, what show ever peaked after season 6?
Simpsons, Seinfeld, South Park, Friends.
It wasn't anything that I would have expected in terms of finale, but it was perfect in so many ways. It made sense to me, and I loved being there for everyone's moment. It was one of those episodes where you're just glad to be there with everybody. We each got a chance to sort of grieve, you know? And in more than previous seasons, the 6th season finale really, like, I think connected with all of us as like a sort of goodbye, you know, but like also a deep appreciation for what we have been through and what we get to do every day.
I had written several versions of what happens between Jeff and Annie. My wife, Erin McGathy, I texted her, you know, I got Jeff and Annie in this room and the cursor is blinking and I don't know what to do. And she said, "Did you ever see Drop Dead Fred?" I said, "No, and I'm fine." And she said, "There's a very sweet kiss at the end of it. It's not sexual, it's very sad. She has to kiss him goodbye." I thought, that sounds right.
And now, a non-sexual yet intensely romantic kiss.
Great.
And to be continued. I think maybe he should have said, "I love you." I'm not sure. We don't really know Jeff Winger. He's an incomplete man. So what does it mean for him to love Annie? We don't know. We don't know what will come of that. And off she goes. It wouldn't be fair to her for him to, like, pluck her from virtual inactivity. In season 1 of Community, she has yet to see a human penis. There's a story about that. We've been watching her grow up, and for her to run down the aisle with Jeff Winger would seem like the definition of cradle robbing. It just feels unjust. But now she can go off and she can become a woman, and to be continued.
This episode, there's a little bit of, like, you know, for fans who have been with the show and who have stuck with it, and for everyone who's, you know, who's worked on the show, there is a little bit of like, here's what we've done, you know, which is kind of amazing, you know, as well as sort of like, here's where we may go.
In general, the last week of Community is always an emotional, chaotic experience, and this season was that to 11.
It was more emotional than I remember any of the other final weeks being.
We were crying. I mean, Ken was weeping off camera when Abed gives this speech in the bar. And then, you know, now everyone's crying. You see Ken cry, you're gone. You're gonna cry.
Once Rob said, "This is your goodbye," oh my goodness. Whew. It was like the first time I saw Joy Luck Club. I was done.
I was supposed to be crying on camera, and Ken was just weeping off camera. And so I was a total emotional vampire and would just like stare at him to get myself worked up.
And I think what was so emotional was this speech, which was basically about moving on, using television, of course, as his template.
TV defeats its own purpose when it's pushing an agenda or trying to defeat other TV or being proud or ashamed of itself for existing. It's TV. It's comfort.
So I think that was very hard for people to listen to and know that it was a little bit of Dan talking, you know, about this whole experience, I'm guessing. For some reason, that just got everybody. And then even more emotional, just that moment, of course, leading up to a group hug, because everyone's got a hug.
It did feel like a hug. It was such a safe place to say goodbye. And I think that's what the finale was, is every day each one of us had sort of this moment where we were saying goodbye. It was comforting. It was comforting to have, like, you know, emotional breakdowns in front of your best friends.
I'm gay. For real. I'm legit gay. I'm gay.
Okay, cool.
I quit Twitter for a week, which is not a long sabbatical, just because I didn't know how anyone would react to the finale. I didn't trust myself to respond appropriately in the event that anyone would feedback negatively. But I logged in probably every day just to scan the tweets. I swear I didn't see a single negative one. I mean, there's a grain of salt there, which is that at some point during season 6, I started blocking anyone that ever said anything negative.
But you're coming back, right?
Maybe. Probably. Maybe.
I think that fans feel very protective of the show, and I think it feels like a secret among fans because it has such relative low awareness in the general public, despite the fact that we've been on for 6 seasons.
I always knew my mom was going to be watching at home in Chicago, but it's a shocker that we've gotten here this far, and it's because of the fans. It's really because of everyone who's latched on this show and embraced it in a way that they've felt understood or they connected to it, and it's a weird show, and I'm so happy that we got to share our weird world with you.
I can't imagine something that's been more fun in my career so far, unless this is the end.
Thanks for letting me join this year and hang out with these guys, and thanks for being nice to me.
Our friendships, I'm sure, will, well, for some of us, withstand the test of time. There are a few that we don't know about. They owe me a lot, and they need to apologize for what he did, and he knows who I'm saying. I'm just kidding.
And to do a show as weird as Community with as such an eclectic, amazing, diverse group of people, it makes it even more, like, special.
Oh, I'm not gonna say goodbye to anybody then.
They're awful people who I could cry now thinking about.
It was, and it still is, like, something I can't believe that we got to do more than once.
I think the team would say, maybe we'll be back. We don't know. But have a good summer.
I think previously, I've always just been like, no, we're going to come back. They have to renew us. The hashtag says 6 seasons in a movie. You can't cancel Community after 5 seasons. That's just wrong. And this time I was like, this is very probably the end.
Chang, get out of here, Chang. Get out of here.
So yeah, we've done the 6 seasons, and there is a sense of accomplishment in that. We made over 100 episodes of this wacky-ass show, and we made some darn good television along the way, and we should feel proud of that.
I didn't know how to end the show. I didn't know if I wanted the show to end. I just went with my gut.
Last group.
Last group.
What about the next scene?
Thank you guys so much.